आज लॉकडाउन सीरीज का ये दिस इज द 10th सेशन वी आर कंडक्टिंग। लॉकडाउन खत्म हो गया लेकिन लॉकडाउन सीरीज हमारी कंटिन्यू है। ये नॉलेज सीरीज ऐसे ही कंटिन्यू रहेगी। और आज हमने विजय सर को इनवाइट किया है, विजय केवल रमानी सर को, रिगार्डिंग द इश्यूज ऑफ एलएलपी। एलएलपी के रिलेशन में सर हमें गाइड करेंगे आज। तो वेलकम विजय सर, आपका बहुत बहुत वेलकम है कि आप आए हमारे एक इनविटेशन पे धुले में। मैं संतोष नानकानी सर आपके ओर हैंड ओवर करूंगा कि प्लीज आप इंट्रोड्यूस कीजिए सर का।
जी सर। विजय सर नमस्ते। नंदुरबार सीपी चैप्टर का मैं डिप्टी कन्वीनर हूं और धुलिया ब्रांच से भी हमेशा ही जुड़ा हुआ रहता हूं। सभी मेंबर्स को भी नंदुरबार धुलिया ब्रांच के सभी मेंबर्स को भी मेरा नमस्ते। मैं विजय सर का इंट्रोडक्शन देना चाहूँगा। सर बाय प्रोफेशन चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट इन प्रैक्टिस फ्रॉम लास्ट 26 ईयर प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं सर, एंड इज वेरी वेल एजुकेटेड. This can be seen from his education background. Apart from being a chartered accountant, he's also become LLB, LLM, MBA in finance, CMA for Australia, and he has also pursued diploma in financial reporting course for the UK. He has also obtained a certification in the forensic accounting. Sir, regular practice तो करते हैं, उसके साथ साथ डायरेक्ट टैक्स अपीलेट में और फ्रॉड इन्वेस्टिगेशन में भी प्रैक्टिस करते हैं। सर ने काफी सारे लेक्चर्स दिए हैं एट वेरियस प्रोफेशनल्स एंड अदर forums इंक्लूडिंग रोटरी क्लब on various topics like fraud investigation, limited liability partnership, cyber crimes, budget, black money, income tax. These are a very few names and there is a long list for these topics. Apart from serving to the Rotary Club or maybe ICI, sir has also been a training. Sir has also given training to the government auditors through Indian Audit and Accounts Board on topic like risk management and fraud detection. And he has also been invited to train the government supreme auditors from Afghanistan on fraud detection. So सर का जो फ्रॉड इन्वेस्टिगेशन या फ्रॉड डिटेक्शन का जो ट्रेनिंग है वो सिर्फ इंडियन गवर्नमेंट पर्सनल्स को नहीं, सो आउट ऑफ इंडिया के कई गवर्नमेंट्स ने भी सर को कॉल किया है, इनवाइट किया है. He has also authored a book published by All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, that is Western Zone, titled Limited Liability Partnership to Simplified Frequent Asked Questions. He has also written various articles in various professional magazines on LLP. He has also been contributor to the background material for Executive Master Program, a new age auditor of the Central Center of Audit Quality. This was a program for master program for ICI for the topic assurance and review engagement. Sir is interested in traveling, socializing, reading, so this can be considered as his hobbies. He has also been invited by ICI Corporate Laws and Corporate Governance Committee to be a part of group to work on the requirements for rationalizing, reducing and simplifying the processes related to LLP. So LLP में भी सर का काफी योगदान रहा है जिस पे हम आज ट्रेनिंग लेने वाले हैं. He is also involved in various professional and other associations like President of Tax Friends, that is All India Association of Sindhi Tax Practitioners, including Chartered Accountants, Advocates for the year 2016 to 18 and 2018 to 20. Sir was also President of Tax Practitioners Association Thane for 2018 to 20. Sir was also National Treasurer. Sir is also National Treasurer of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners for 2011, and this All India Tax his All India Federation of Tax Practitioners is a national body for tax practitioners. Sir is a steering committee member of ICMI, that is Australia Indian chapter, and these are only few list of his contribution to the various associations. He has also been actively involved with the various social activities and associations. Has been involved in various levels like managing trustee of Sahiti Panchayat Mumbai since 2017. Is a president of American Institute of Sindhiology Indian chapter. Is a president of Rotary Club of Thane Harbour, now Thane Royals, in 2018-19, and has also been designated to be district treasurer for 2020-22 to 23 in the Rotary District 3142. He is also taken an honorable member on 3 international Rotary clubs in various countries. So this was just a brief discussion on sir's introduction. Now I would like to request Keval Ramani sir, so please guide all the members of Nandurbar and Junior chapter to on the topics of limited liability partnership. Sir, please.
Thank you, Santosh ji, for beautiful introduction. Thank you, Avinash ji, for the invite, and I would be failing if I would not be thanking my good friend Shankar Rizwani ji for suggesting the name. Shankar ji, thank you. And friends, this is my second lecture at the Dhule branch. First time was a physical one when I believe Rajaram Kulkarni ji was the chairman. He is also sitting here. So this is my second lecture, and it is always a pleasure to address the Dhule branch. Friends, this topic of LLP, as we all know, it was started in 2008, but people did not care about it until there were many changes coming in the Companies Act 2013, which brought in various compliances, which forced people to look into the LLP structure. And then since 2014, there has been a rush of LLP. Although it has been there on the statute since 2009, and it is one of the simplest laws in the country, people should go for it, and which I have been advocating since 2009. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
So we will.
Yes, sir, visible.
Thank you. We will in this talk, we will not only cover the various aspects of LLP, we will try and cover the income tax position vis-a-vis LLP. We will try cover the FDI status, how FDI affects the LLP, or how can LLP get FDIs, and then also we will also put one part to understanding the documentation under LLP, which is very important, because this is one thing which I have developed over a period with my experience, which is not there in any book, and it is not though mandated by the LLP Act, but still it would help you to cover this thing. So we would just basically would try to cover all the aspects of LLP. That's why we have named the topic as a limited liability partnership, new age business model. So one should definitely think about going into it. It is one of the easiest mode. So let's start with some insights. As it all starts, the government formed the committee. There was pressure to simplify legislation because Partnership Act had some limitations of unlimited liability, and then ownership of property, and there were certain limitations. Companies Act was too stringent with the formalities, so there was a need to go midway. Then various committees were formed, and in the end, 2003, Naresh Chandra committee gave a suggestion that LLP should be formed for professionals to simplify the same. But then, as happens in India, the businessmen turned in, why only LLPs, why not the businessmen? So a JJ Irani committee was formed, and which stated that yes, small and medium businesses should also be given the LLP structure. And after discussions in December 2008, the LLP Act 2008 was passed by the Parliament and enacted by the President. So hence it is called as the LLP Act 2008. This is the first time that something like a limited liability partnership concept was introduced in India, although it is there across the globe. And the rules were notified from effect from 1st April 2009, and hence the LLP Act came into being with effect from 1st April 2009 with the notification of the rules. This is the small background about the LLP Act. Now we would try and understand the salient features of a LLP, what it does. Basically, I would like to tell you that it has got the benefits of both. As I told you, there were limitations in the Partnership Act which were creating problems. The Companies Act was too stringent, so this mode was created to bring a midway, and it basically contains the benefits of both LLP as well as a partnership, as you would see as we go on ahead. So the first and foremost is it gives you both the benefits of a company and a partnership. Very few negative points have been picked up. Basically, the benefits of both have been merged, and such a simple act has come in. Although now, as my introduction stated, the government has involved the our institute to suggest changes and further simplify the LLP Act. And I have been fortunate enough to be invited by the institute to that committee to make the suggestions to the government, and we are in the process of working on that. First and foremost, it gives you a separate legal identity. Yes, the company has, but normally there are issues in a partnership having a separate legal identity. So it gives you a separate legal identity. Then there were issues of perpetual succession in a partnership. So they have covered that, and now LLP gives you a perpetual succession. We would all be looking into all these details subsequently. I'm just highlighting the salient features. And any questions are there, please have it. I will take every question of yours at the end. I have kept sufficient time for the question and answer session, and I will try and solve all your queries at the end. Again, another advantage is, these are the advantages over a partnership that they have taken. A limited liability. Partnership has an unlimited liability of all the partners, and then partners act as agent of every other partner. Here the partners act as an agent of only the LLP and not the other partners. So if one partner commits a mistake, only his liability will go unlimited. The rest of the partners are secured, and their liability will be limited to the extent of their capital. Minimum 2 partners are required. You have to have a partnership, you need 2 people. So they have said 2 partners. At least one of them has to be an Indian resident, mandatory. Friends, now you must have seen that even in Companies Act 2013, and there is a provision that one of the shareholders has to be an Indian resident. This was brought subsequently, since the LLP Act was brought in 2008. And in 2007, if you recollect, there were a lot of vanishing company cases. To control that, they thought that yes, one person should be mandatory at Indian. So LLP Act was the first statute in the country to mandate that one of the partners has to be an Indian resident, which is mandatory. Then this another advantage is that there is no maximum limit on the number of partners. Unlike in a partnership, you have a limit that you have 10 partners in case of a banking company, 20 in case of a normal partnership, and in case of a company also you have a limit of 200 in case of a private limited company, which was earlier 50, and no limit in case of a limited company. But here you have no limit on the maximum number of partners. Individuals, LLPs and companies can be partners. And then this was the first time that a concept of designated partners was introduced. We have seen a managing partners or working partners concept in the partnership. We have seen the concept of directors in the company. And this is the concept of designated partners. I will explain to you in detail later. And I can assure you, friends, if you literally explain to your clients the concept of a designated partner, none of your clients would like to become a designated partner. Although we cram that it is not like a director, it is much more different. And if you are, the moment you start understanding, even in CA firms we do it and we just designate ourselves as designated partners. If we start understanding, we would not like to be designated partners. Partners to be agents of LLP and not each other, as I told you in the beginning itself. Partners are the agents of the LLP. They are not bound by binding each other. So at least if one partner commits a mistake, only that partner's liability will go unlimited. The others will be safeguarded over there. Then this is where your perpetual succession is coming in. You have time of 6 months to admit new partners in case the number of partners go below 2. Are you comfortable in English, or you want to switch to Hindi or Marathi? I don't mind. I can switch the language if it is okay.
Sir, comfortable in Hindi, English, both.
No, because I can speak in any of the languages. I am comfortable. I said if the members should be comfortable. That is important. So time of 6 months, 6 महीने का टाइम दिया गया है कि अगर पार्टनर्स की संख्या 2 से नीचे जाती है तो आपके पास 6 महीने का समय मिलता है. You have 6 months to admit new. This gives you the perpetual succession which I was discussing. Or audit of accounts will be mandatory if the turnover exceeds 40 lakhs and capital exceeds 25 lakhs. Friends, the words that I have written, these are important. अगर आपकी टर्नओवर 40 लाख के ऊपर है या आपकी कैपिटल 25 लाख के ऊपर है तो ही ऑडिट कंपलसरी है. कंपनीज एक्ट में आपको हर पैसे का ऑडिट देना पड़ता है. पार्टनरशिप में खाली टैक्स ऑडिट है यहाँ पे. इफ यू हैव अ टर्नओवर एक्सीडिंग 40 लाख और कैपिटल एक्सीडिंग 25 लाख. ये सब हम डिटेल में देखेंगे आगे एक एक पॉइंट. शुरू करते हुए अभी एलएलपी का कोर क्रक्स क्या है? पार्टनर। पार्टनर नहीं होंगे तो पार्टनरशिप कहां से होगी? वेयर विल द पार्टनरशिप कम फ्रॉम? So the crux is the partners. Minimum 2 partners are required. As we discussed earlier कि partnership है, partnership आहे तर 2 लोग पाहिजे, so minimum 2 partners needed. Then at least 1 Indian resident is mandatory. उनमें से एक आदमी इंडियन होना चाहिए. Why? Because there were a lot of vanishing companies here. People form and then they do frauds and they run away. To catch hold, 1 Indian resident has to be mandatory because the government wants to catch hold of somebody. किसी का तो गला पकड़ना चाहिए ना, कोई भाग गया, कुछ फ्रॉड करके भाग गए वगैरह, तो एक का गला पकड़ना. Then there is no maximum limit of maximum members. जैसे कि हमने बताया कि अगर पार्टनरशिप में है तो आपके पास मिनिमम 2 पार्टनर्स लगते हैं. मैक्सिमम अगर बैंकिंग पार्टनरशिप है तो 10 वरना 20, और अगर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी है तो मैक्सिमम 200 शेयर होल्डर हो सकते हैं. यहाँ पे कोई लिमिट नहीं है, आप कितने भी पार्टनर ले सकते हैं. हु कैन बिकम द पार्टनर्स? Individuals who are eligible to contract can become a partner. Companies can become a partner, and LLPs can become a partner. So who can become a partner? Individual बन सकता है, corporate, individual और body corporate. आप इतना याद रखिए. You can just remember individual and body corporate only, because LLP is technically a body corporate because it is incorporated under the ROC. So it is also termed as a body corporate like a company. So individuals and body corporates. So what it means is that your trust cannot become a partner. HUF cannot become a partner. AOPs cannot become a partner. So please take care. Only individuals and body corporates can be partners. कई बार हम मिस्टेक कर जाते हैं, तो थोड़ा ध्यान दीजिएगा. Then disqualifications of becoming a partner. कौन नहीं बन सकता? A person who is of unsound mind. जो कि जिनका दिमाग ठिकाने पर नहीं है, वो बन नहीं सकते. A person who is declared insolvent and a person even who has applied for insolvency. तो अगर किसी ने इंसॉल्वेंसी के लिए अप्लाई भी किया हुआ है कि भाई ठीक है अभी हमारे हाथ खड़े हो गए, हम पैसे नहीं दे पाते, तो वो भी बंदा पार्टनर नहीं बन सकता है. Because technically if you see the contract act, these are the 3 persons who are not eligible to contract, so these people cannot become. Now the issue arises about a minor also. So in my opinion, even minors would not be eligible to become a partner, because in a partnership specific provision is given that a minor can be a partner in the profits and not the losses. So here there is no such provision. So even a minor cannot become a partner. वो ध्यान पे रखिएगा जब आप LLP बना रहे हैं. So now we will try to understand the difference between the partners in a LLP vis-a-vis shareholders in a company. दोनों में क्या फर्क है, क्या अंतर है कि LLP पार्टनर और कंपनी के शेयर होल्डर्स में क्या अंतर है. मिनिमम 2 पार्टनर्स चाहिए, वहां भी 2 शेयर होल्डर्स चाहिए. एक्सेप्ट लिमिटेड लायबिलिटी, लिमिटेड कंपनी है तो 3 शेयर होल्डर्स चाहिए मिनिमम. वो एक समानता भी है, थोड़ा डिफरेंस भी है. दोनों में एक 1 इंडियन रेजिडेंट मैंडेटरी है. अर्लियर इन द 56 एक्ट 1 Indian resident mandatory was not there in the Companies Act. Now in the Companies Act 2013, this clause has been put in, so 1 Indian resident is mandatory. Limit on maximum numbers. In a LLP, there is no upper limit on the maximum numbers. कोई लिमिट नहीं है. Whereas कंपनी में अगर आपकी प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी है तो 200 की संख्या हो सकती है सबसे ज्यादा शेयर होल्डर्स की, जो कि जूने एक्ट में 50 थी. और लिमिटेड कंपनी पब्लिक लिमिटेड बना रहे तो उसमें आपकी कोई अपर लिमिट नहीं है. फिर हु कैन बिकम पार्टनर्स एंड शेयर होल्डर्स. एलएलपी में पार्टनर बनना है तो या तो आपको इंडिविजुअल रहना है, व्यक्ति रहना है, या तो बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट रहना है, यानी कंपनी या एलएलपी, विच वुड इंक्लूड योर फॉरेन कंपनीज एंड एलएलपी. कंपनी एलएलपी में फॉरेन बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट भी चलेगा. और शेयर होल्डर में तो आपके ओपन है, एओपी भी बन सकता है, ट्रस्ट भी बन सकता है, एचयूए भी बन सकता है. तो ये एक फर्क है दोनों में जो आपको ध्यान पे रखना है. Just because it is incorporated under ROC, so you will say if HUF can become a shareholder, if a trust can become a shareholder, why not a partner? The LLP Act doesn't allow you. Please take care. Role of partners versus shareholders. ये बहुत 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 important है friends, और ये 2-3 जगह आगे भी हम देखेंगे. शेयर होल्डर का रोल क्या होता है? Appointment of directors in the management and at the most voting in the AGM and SGM for dividend and some important decisions. where the shareholders decision is required. जहाँ शेयर होल्डर की जरूरत है वहां पे ही वो बोलेंगे, वरना शेयर होल्डर का कोई रोल नहीं है। वेयर पार्टनर में हर पार्टनर बाय डिफॉल्ट मैनेजिंग पार्टनर है, पार्टनर एलएलपी में, अनटिल अगर आपको किसी को मैनेजिंग पार्टनर नहीं करना है तो एग्रीमेंट में डालना पड़ेगा। बाय डिफॉल्ट हर पार्टनर मैनेजिंग पार्टनर है। इसके लिए मैं कह रहा था आप लोग वो डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर के शब्द में मत जाइए, वो मिथ्या है। we'll see that how it is a farce. So role of partner ये है कि every partner has a right in the management, whereas every shareholder does not have a right in the management. Management is done by the directors, which are appointed by the shareholders, and then shareholders have a limited role in certain decisions like approval of dividend, appointment of directors, or maybe certain important decisions relating to mergers and all, as required by the companies. Now we come to another concept which is introduced, designated partners. It requires to be a designated partner, you need to have a DIN number. Earlier होता था designated partners identification number, जो कि अभी merge कर दिया गया है DIN number में. So designated DPIN and DIN is one and the same, but still designated partners and directors are not one and the same. Please take care. So there has to be minimum 2 designated partners. ये भी 2 चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर आप कंपनी में भी देखेंगे तो मिनिमम 2 डायरेक्टर या 3 डायरेक्टर की लिमिटेशन है प्राइवेट लिमिटेड और पब्लिक लिमिटेड में. सो यू हैव टू हैव मिनिमम 2 डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर्स. अगेन एटलीस्ट वन हैज टू बी एन इंडियन रेजिडेंट. ये बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज किसको पकड़े, कोई जो गड़बड़ करके लोग भाग जाए तो किसको पकड़े. वन डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर ऑल्सो हैज टू बी an Indian resident. He can be the partner who is the designated. So definitely out of 2-3 partners who are designated Indian residents, one of them can be a designated partner. And who can become a designated partner? कौन बन सकता है? केवल individual, nobody else. Because designated partner has to be a person who can think, sign. So an individual can become a designated partner. Now if there is a LLP जहाँ पे कि सब body corporates partners है, तो they can nominate one individual from their side. अपनी तरफ से एक नुमाइंदा भेज सकते हैं कि ये बंदा हमारा डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर होगा. हर बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट, अगर सिर्फ बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट ही पार्टनर है तो इंडिविजुअल कहाँ से आएगा? इंडिविजुअल वो होगा जिस बंदे का नाम वो लोग राइटिंग में देंगे, एग्रीमेंट में डालेंगे कि हमारी तरफ से ये कंपनी की तरफ से ये रहेगा, ये एलएलपी की तरफ से ये वाई बंदा रहेगा. They will become the designated partners. Now friends, this is important. Designated partners have only duties, they have no rights. Designated partner का कोई right नहीं है, उनकी सिर्फ roles and responsibilities है, उनकी duties है. क्या है वो duty? एक ही duty है सबसे important. Designated partners are required to discharge all obligations and compliances as required under LLP Act. LLP Act में जितने भी compliances है वो पूरे करने की जिम्मेवारी डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर्स की है. कंप्लायंसेस यानी रिटर्न्स टाइम पे जाने चाहिए, इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न टाइम पे जाना चाहिए, इंफॉर्मेशन टाइम पे जाना चाहिए, या कोई इवेंट हुआ कि एग्रीमेंट में चेंज हुआ तो वो आरओसी को टाइम पे इंटीमेशन जाना चाहिए. और इफ इट इज नॉट हैपनिंग, दे अपार्ट फ्रॉम एलएलपी को तो पेनल्टी लगता ही है. Designated partners can be personally liable for the penalties levied on the LLP for contravention of provisions. और friends, I would like to tell you, मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा कि ये जो पेनल्टीज है कम से कम 10,000 रुपए और ज्यादा से ज्यादा 5 लाख रुपए तक जाता है. तो अगर एक भी रिटर्न वगैरह नहीं गया और अगर पेनल्टी पे आया तो एलएलपी को तो पेनल्टी भरना ही होगा, लेकिन डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर वुड आल्सो बी पर्सनली लायबल टू पे पेनल्टीज. इसके लिए मैंने आपको कहा कि अगर लोग सुनेंगे कि डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर का रोल क्या है तो कोई डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर बनना नहीं चाहेगा. This is what the designated partners do. This is the only role. Now we will understand the difference between a designated partner and a director of a company. रोल्स प्लेड. अभी रोल क्या है? डायरेक्टर का रोल क्या होता है? पूरा मैनेजमेंट संभालते हैं कंपनी. दे हैव द मैनेजरियल रोल, पूरी मैनेजमेंट संभालते हैं, सब काम करते हैं. और डायरेक्ट जो भी कंपनी चलाना है दिन रात वो सब वो करते हैं. डे टू डे डिसीजंस वो लेते हैं, एग्रीमेंट्स वो साइन करते हैं, एम्प्लॉइज वो हायर करते हैं, सब वो करते हैं. यहाँ पे डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर का रोल क्या है? ओनली टू इंश्योर द कंप्लायंस. कोई जीरो रोल. बाकी सभी पार्टनर्स का रोल. So whether he is a designated partner or no, he has all the rights. He will do all the rules. So ऐसा कोई सिमिलरिटी नहीं है डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर में. ड्यूटीज एंड लायबिलिटीज, डेफिनेटली डायरेक्टर्स की भी वो सब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है, कंप्लायंसेस वगैरह होना चाहिए, कंपनी अच्छे से चले वो भी होना चाहिए। यहाँ खाली इनका ड्यूटी है बेसिकली दैट द कंप्लायंसेस शुड बी देयर। यस, अगर आपको इसके अलावा कुछ रोल देना है तो एग्रीमेंट में लिखिए, यहाँ पे एक एग्रीमेंट बनता है जो उसमें लिखिए, उस पर हम आएंगे आज। If you want to give more powers to designated partners, you can give. I am not saying no, but by default, as per the LLP Act, आप नहीं दे सकते। Means उनके पास powers नहीं है, उनका सिर्फ रोल है कि ensure duties are due. So now we come to the contribution or the capital. LLP Act में उसको contribution बोला गया है, capital शब्द नहीं है। तो जो हम capital देते हैं, सबसे बड़ी इनिशियल कंट्रीब्यूशन जो आता है इज सिमिलर टू शेयर कैपिटल ऑफ, जो कंपनी का शेयर कैपिटल आता है या पार्टनरशिप में जो कंट्रीब्यूशन आता है। बट सबसे बड़ी खासियत ये है कि कंपनीज एक्ट में लिखा गया है कि अगर आपको प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी बनानी है तो आपको कम से कम 1 लाख रुपया शेयर कैपिटल डालना पड़ेगा, और अगर पब्लिक लिमिटेड बनानी है तो 5 लाख रुपया। यहाँ पे ऐसा कोई लिमिटेशन नहीं है, आप 1000 रुपए से भी LLP स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं। You can start an LLP with a contribution as low as 500 rupees, as low as 1000 rupees. There is no limitation. The other difference is contribution जो रहता है LL कंपनीज में, आपको जो भी मिनिमम पेड अप कैपिटल है वो 1 महीने के अंदर लाना रहता है कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेशन। यहाँ पे ऐसी कोई रूल नहीं है, आप आराम से लाइए, खाली LLP एग्रीमेंट में लिख दीजिए कब कब पैसा लाएंगे, कोई टेंशन नहीं है, आपको कोई दिक्कत नहीं है कि अगर आपने 5 करोड़ भी लिख दिया तो 5 करोड़ 1 महीने में देना पड़ेगा, उसकी कोई आपको समस्या नहीं है, कोई पेनल्टीज नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है। दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरेंस दैट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड। नाउ कंट्रीब्यूशन में भी इंटेंजिबल और इंटेंजिबल फॉर्म, यानी वो कैश हो सकता है, चेक हो सकता है, टेंजिबल वो है, या आप गाड़ी दे सकते हैं, इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी दे सकते हैं, जो भी आपकी जगह है वो दे सकते हैं। ऑफिस में कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा हूँ, गाड़ी दे रहा हूँ, कैश दे रहा हूँ, जो भी आप दे रहे हैं। और इट कैन बी इन इंटेंजिबल फॉर्म, यानी अगर आपके पास किसी, आप कोई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में जा रहे हो, वो प्रोडक्ट का पेटेंट है आपके पास, तो आप या पब्लिशिंग में जा रहे हैं, किसी प्रोडक्ट का कॉपीराइट है, तो यू से आई एम गिविंग माय कॉपीराइट एज अ कंट्रीब्यूशन, मेरा माय पेटेंट एज अ कंट्रीब्यूशन, आई एम ट्रांसफरिंग इट टू द LLP, और वो मेरा कंट्रीब्यूशन है। या सर्विसेज आप दे सकते हैं कि अभी हमारे CA फर्म्स में कई बार क्या होता है, नए बच्चे जो पास होते हैं, हम चाहते हैं जो होनहार है कि दे बिकम आवर पार्टनर्स एंड दे सपोर्ट अस, तो क्या करते हैं हम लोग कि भाई लाओ, वो बोलेगा सर मैं तो अभी नया नया पास हुआ हूँ, आई डोंट हैव द मनी, क्या करूँ? तो हम क्या बोलेंगे, बेटा ठीक है ऐसा करो, आपका जो भी सैलरी हम डिसाइड कर रहे हैं उसका 1/3 सैलरी जो है आप 3 साल का कंट्रीब्यूट करके आप इसमें दे दो, 1/3 आप लेना मत, विल कन्वर्ट योर 1/3 सैलरी एज पार्ट ऑफ द सर्विसेज कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द LLP, दैट इज ऑल्सो अलाउड, वो भी आप कर सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। Nature and value of contribution, how you are getting the nature, that is cash, movable property, immovable property, intangible services, whatever it is, it has to be stated in the account. आजकल वो कंपनीज एक्ट में भी मैंडेटरी कर दिया गया, अर्लियर नहीं था, the 13 Act it is mandatory, so here also you have to mention the nature and value of contributions. यहाँ पे ऑथोराइज्ड और उसके जैसा कोई कंसेप्ट नहीं है पेड अप का। Then in case of non-cash contributions, it has to be valued either by a practicing chartered accountant or a cost accountant or a valuer from approved vendor. यानी नॉन कैश मतलब आप गाड़ी लेके आ रहे हैं, मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी लेके आ रहे हैं, इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी लेके आ रहे हैं, या सर्विसेज लेके आ रहे हैं, इंटेंजिबल प्रॉपर्टी लेके आ रहे हैं, पेटेंट्स, कॉपीराइट, इट हैज टू बी वैल्यूड एंड द वैल्यूएशन सर्टिफिकेट हैज टू बी ऑब्टेन्ड बाय either a practicing chartered accountant or a practicing cost accountant or a valuer from the approved panel. That you will have to bring it. And then no reserve account has to be maintained. This is a dichotomy which we will consider. The act says no reserve account has to be maintained, but हमारे जो बाबू लोग हैं वहाँ पे बैठे हैं, फॉर्म्स बनाते हैं, वो मैंडेट करते हैं कि you have to write the reserves in form number 8 if you have been filling form number 8 for accounts. We will come to that in some time. And the biggest advantage here also you have got is that partners can grant loan to the LLP. Unlike in the company, आप वहाँ पे लोन नहीं दे सकते हैं. There are restrictions of deposit, acceptance of deposit rules and all that. But here there are no restrictions. Yes, 40B restrictions of the maximum limit as per the RBI, that you have to take care of interest under Income Tax Act. Under LLP Act, there is no restriction. Loan can be given with interest, without interest. Loan can be taken from relatives. Loan can be taken from a third party. No restrictions, nothing of the sort of acceptance of deposit rules. So this is an open this thing. Now we come to the most important part, agreement. आज हमने समझा कि पार्टनर क्या होता है, डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर क्या होता है और कंट्रीब्यूशन क्या होती है, कैसे पैसे आते हैं, बट अल्टीमेटली चलाने के लिए एग्रीमेंट चाहिए. दिस इज द सोल, हार्ट एंड सोल. मेरा दिल ये है, मेरा दिमाग ये है, एग्रीमेंट है जिससे मैं चलाऊंगा. और LLP एग्रीमेंट इज द मोस्ट फ्लेक्सिबल डॉक्यूमेंट. Whatever you can think of which is legally valid, you can put in. There is no pre-described format. कोई फॉर्मेट नहीं है. हमारे आर्टिकल्स का आपको फॉर्मेट मिलेगा, मेमोरेंडम का फॉर्मेट मिलेगा कंपनी में. यहाँ पे कोई फॉर्मेट नहीं है. तो आप आराम से LLP एग्रीमेंट अपने स्टाफ बनाइए. हमने एक ही है जो मैं बताना चाहूंगा कि लोग गलती करते हैं. अरे पार्टनरशिप वर्ड है ना, पार्टनरशिप डीड उठाओ और यहाँ डाल दो, किसको फर्क पड़ता है. पार्टनरशिप डीड की जगह LLP एग्रीमेंट लिख दो, खत्म. भाई साहब ऐसा मत करिए, बहुत गलतियां होती है. मेनी पीपल कम टू अस ड्यूरिंग डिस्प्यूट्स एंड देन दे फेस द प्रॉब्लम्स. So please do not do shortcuts. Here there are certain important features. I will tell you what we should take care. These things should be there, and preferably should be there. Nothing is mandatory. As I said, there is no format, but we will look into it. First, let us understand the definition. LLP agreement की definition क्या है? Section 210 defines LLP agreement means a return agreement. Friends note करिएगा, return agreement. हाईलाइट करता हूँ, लिखित में एग्रीमेंट होनी चाहिए between the partners of the limited liability partnership or between the limited partnership and its partners, which determine mutual rights and duties of the partners and their rights and duties in relation to that limited liability partnership. यहाँ पे बोल रहा है फ्रेंड्स रिटर्न एग्रीमेंट. आगे कहीं पे एक स्टैट्यूट का भाग है जिसको बोला जाता है फर्स्ट शेड्यूल, जो अभी हम इसके बाद देखेंगे. उसमें एक ऑप्शन दिया है कि अगर आपकी एग्रीमेंट रिटर्न नहीं है तो देन द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द फर्स्ट शेड्यूल शैल अप्लाई. ये देखिए, ये डाइकोटमी है. एक ही एक्ट में दो जगह पे दो अलग अलग भाषा. This is what I will just highlight. There are lot many discrepancies. Slowly we will highlight, and that is what we are working on, the company LLP Act suggestions. So and then an LLP agreement can be executed before or after the date of incorporation. Vis-a-vis your Companies Act, MOA, AOA, we have to sign before the date of incorporation. We have to submit the signed copy before. LLP में ऐसा नहीं है. LLP में incorporation पहले होता है, agreement बाद में देना होता है, but it can be signed before or after the incorporation. दोनों options आपके पास है. Again, see, in the absence of the agreement, the provision of first schedule shall apply. Whereas the definition says it has to be a written agreement. So ये dichotomy है, but then you have to go one step ahead. In the absence नहीं, अगर आपकी agreement भी है और फर्स्ट शेड्यूल में जो प्रोविजंस लिखे हैं वो अगर आपके एग्रीमेंट में मिसिंग है, तो देन इन रिलेशन टू दोस प्रोविजन द फर्स्ट शेड्यूल शैल अप्लाई, अदरवाइज द एग्रीमेंट इज सुप्रीम. ये याद रखिएगा. Although there is a first schedule defining provisions, but the agreement is supreme. तो आप जितना भी करें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. ये ध्यान दीजिए कि अगर जो फर्स्ट शेड्यूल अभी हम देखेंगे, अगर आपको उनका कोई भी क्लॉज अप्लाई करके नहीं चाहिए, तो देन यू हैव टू एंश्योर दैट दोस पॉइंट्स आर देयर इन योर रिटर्न एग्रीमेंट. और एनीहाउ आजकल रिटर्न एग्रीमेंट कंपलसरी है, बिकॉज फॉर्म 3 में इनकॉर्पोरेशन के बाद देना पड़ता है. देन इफ योर एग्रीमेंट इज साइंड प्रायर टू इनकॉर्पोरेशन, बिकॉज मैंने बोला कि एग्रीमेंट सबमिट नहीं करनी पड़ती है फॉर्म 2 के साथ इनकॉर्पोरेशन के टाइम. इफ इट इज साइंड, पहले साइन करके रखिए, तो आपको 30 दिन के अंदर ये फॉर्म देना रहता है, फॉर्म 3 एग्रीमेंट वाला. तो उसके पहले पार्टनर्स की मीटिंग बुला के उसको रेटिफाई करना पड़ेगा, वो रिजोल्यूशन भी अटैच करना पड़ेगा. अगर बाद में आप साइन करते हैं कोई झंझट नहीं है, आप साइन करिए, दे दीजिए. तो इसके लिए हम जो सलाह देते हैं कि आप एग्रीमेंट रेडी रखिए, ड्राफ्ट स्टैम्प पेपर भी लाके रखिए, कोई वांदा नहीं है. जैसे ही आपका इनकॉर्पोरेशन हुआ, समझो आज 10 तारीख को इनकॉर्पोरेशन हुआ, आपने 11 तारीख को प्रिंट किया, 11 तारीख को पार्टनर्स की साइन ली, और आप 12 तारीख को या 11 तारीख को ही फॉर्म 3 भर सकते हैं. आपको रेटिफिकेशन की जरूरत नहीं है. दैट विल सेव टाइम. although your agreement is ready, but the issue is signing. So if you sign after incorporation, it is easier, it saves you time, and it saves you the procedure of calling a meeting of the partners and ratify. Now as I said कि अगर एग्रीमेंट नहीं है या एग्रीमेंट में कुछ क्लॉजेस जो इंपॉर्टेंट है वो नहीं है, तो फर्स्ट शेड्यूल में अगर वो क्लॉज है तो वो अप्लाई होंगे. तो फीचर फर्स्ट शेड्यूल क्या कहता है, लेट अस लुक इनटू. By default, all the partners are entitled to share equally in the capital and profits and losses. तो अगर आपको कुछ भी नहीं लिखा है, इन एग्रीमेंट आपने बनाई है लेकिन उसमें कैपिटल या प्रॉफिट लॉस का नहीं लिखा है शेयरिंग, तो बाय डिफॉल्ट सबको इक्वल लाना पड़ेगा. ऑल द प्रॉफिट्स एंड लॉसेस विल बी शेयर्ड इक्वली. अगर आपको नहीं चाहिए तो प्लीज इंश्योर कि आप एग्रीमेंट में अलग अलग लिखते हैं कि भाई ए 50% लाएगा, बी 30% लाएगा, सी 5% लाएगा, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. आप उस तरह लिख दीजिए. सिमिलरली प्रॉफिट्स और लॉसेस भी आपको चाहिए कि प्रॉफिट ए बी सी में बटेगा और लॉसेस एक्स वाई जेड में बटेगा, वो भी कर सकते हैं, बट वो आपको एग्रीमेंट में लिखना पड़ेगा. अगर नहीं लिखेंगे तो बाय डिफॉल्ट योर शेयर विल गो इक्वली टू ऑल द पार्टनर्स. इंडेमनिटी क्लॉज बाय डिफॉल्ट आता है कि भाई पार्टनर्स इंडेमनिफाइंग ईच अदर, एक दूसरे की गलती की वजह से नुकसान हुआ तो दे विल इंडेमनिफाई, एंड देन the partners indemnifying the LLP and also the LLP indemnifying the partners. ये ट्रिपल इंडेमनिटी क्लॉज आता है. ये जो मैंने आपको बताया था कि बाय डिफॉल्ट ऑल पार्टनर्स आर एंटाइटल्ड टू टेक पार्ट इन द मैनेजमेंट. तो इसमें ऐसा नहीं है कि भाई वो अगर आपको कोई चाहिए डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर करेगा, नहीं, डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर का अलग ही रोल है. खाली लायबिलिटीज देखना है कि भाई हमारा कंप्लायंस इज हुआ कि नहीं, वरना ऑल पार्टनर्स आर एंटाइटल्ड टू टेक पार्ट इन द मैनेजमेंट. सबको है. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि भाई मेरे 3 पार्टनर है एक्स वाई जेड, एक्स को कोई रोल नहीं है, सिर्फ वाई और जेड पार्टनरशिप में लेंगे, तो कृपया करके एग्रीमेंट में लिखिए वाई एंड जेड आर द डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर्स है. तो और नॉट नेसेसरी वाई डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर है और ए डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर है और जेड है. वाई और एक्स और वाई डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर है और जेड नहीं है, मगर आप चाहते हैं कि वाई और जेड ही मैनेजिंग करे, तो आप वो भी कर सकते हैं. एक्स विल नॉट हैव अ रोल इन द मैनेजमेंट, वाई एंड जेड ऑल्दो ही इज अ डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर, यू कैन स्टिल रिमूव. तो वो आपके ऊपर है. या आप दो डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर रखते हैं, दोनों के दोनों को मैनेजमेंट देना चाहते हैं, तो वो लिखिए कि द डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर्स विल आल्सो बी द वर्किंग पार्टनर्स, मैनेजिंग पार्टनर. वो आपको उसमें लिखना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर का कोई रोल नहीं रहेगा. देन by default no partner is entitled to remuneration. Mind you, अगर आपकी एग्रीमेंट रेम्यूनरेशन पे साइलेंट है तो इनकम टैक्स में भी आपको डिडक्शन नहीं मिलेगा 40B का. अब वो नहीं बोल सकते कि मेरी एग्रीमेंट साइलेंट है लेकिन मेरा इनकम टैक्स एक्ट अलाउ करता है. प्लीज ध्यान रखिएगा, इनकम टैक्स में भी जजमेंट्स रहे हैं कि द एग्रीमेंट हैज टू स्टेट दैट रेम्यूनरेशन विल बी पेड. और बाय डिफॉल्ट एलएलपी एक्ट तो खुद ही बोल रहा है कि बाय डिफॉल्ट अगर आप नहीं लिखते तो किसी पार्टनर को रेम्यूनरेशन नहीं मिलेगा. तो अगर रेम्यूनरेशन चाहिए तो एलएलपी एग्रीमेंट में डालिए. No partner can be introduced without the consent of all partners. All the decisions by default will be with the majority of partners consent. अभी इसमें क्या होता है दोस्तों की फ्रेंड्स, कई बार हमारे पास फाइनेंसिंग पार्टनर आते हैं. कोई बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट आ रहा है, कोई बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट हमारे पास आया है और उसमें हमारे पास आए समझिए फाइनेंसिंग पार्टनर कि भाई मैं अपनी जमीन लेके आ रहा हूँ, दूसरा बोलेगा मैं ठीक है ये पैसा दे रहा हूँ. हमको डे टू डे मगजमारी नहीं चाहिए. 2 जन आप लोग और 2 पार्टनर आ रहे हैं जो काम करेंगे, बिल्डिंग डेवलप करेंगे, सब करेंगे. तो उसमें आप ये भी लिख सकते हो जो डिसीजन में भी. So in the background what you can write clearly in the agreement, आप उसमें लिख सकते हो कि भाई X और Y in relation any decision in relation to the project they will have a veto. Otherwise जो बाकी के A और B पार्टनर्स है मैनेजमेंट वही करेंगे, डे टू डे में वो करेंगे, ये लोग दिन में तंग नहीं करेंगे. लेकिन कोई मेजर डिसीजन लिया गया प्रोजेक्ट रिलेटेड, भाई लैंड को मॉर्गेज रखना है या प्रोजेक्ट के अगेंस्ट में लोन लेना है, जो भी है उसमें इनका वीटो रहेगा. आप वैसे भी एग्रीमेंट बना सकते हैं. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि आपने, जैसे मैंने बोला, बहुत फ्लेक्सिबल डॉक्यूमेंट है. यू कैन डू एनीथिंग दैट यू कैन प्लान. Minutes have to be recorded within 30 days. रिकॉर्ड है, अगर आपको LLP एक्ट में कहीं भी नहीं लिखा है कि मिनट्स लिखने हैं, पार्टनरशिप की कितनी मीटिंग होगी, आपकी जैसे बोर्ड की मीटिंग होती है कि 3 महीने में एक होनी चाहिए, एजीएम होनी चाहिए, एजीएम होनी चाहिए, यहाँ पे कुछ भी नहीं है LLP एक्ट में. बट पार्टनर्स मीटिंग यू विल हैव टू डू एटलीस्ट फॉर अप्रूवल ऑफ द अकाउंट्स वंस इन द ईयर. वो कब करते हैं वो आप एग्रीमेंट में लिख सकते हैं, आप कैसे आपकी मीटिंग होगी, कैसा होगा. और 30 दिन में अगर आप उसमें लिखते हैं कि मिनट्स 8 दिन में होगा या 2 महीने में होगा तो खत्म हो गई. नहीं है तो बाय डिफॉल्ट विद इन 30 days the minutes have to be recorded. Render true accounts. Non-compete clause will be there between the LLP partners and the LLP partners individually. साथ में भी नहीं कर सकते, छोड़ने के बाद भी नहीं कर सकते, जो आपको लिखना है आप लिख सकते हैं. Partners cannot be expelled by majority unless prior agreed. So partner को expel करने के लिए unanimous decision होना चाहिए, ये by default है. Otherwise ये डिफॉल्ट है. वरना अगर आपको चाहिए कि भाई ये 2 जन डिसीजन लेंगे पार्टनरशिप का, तो आप वो कृपया करके एग्रीमेंट में लिखिए. एंड देन डिस्प्यूट्स टू बी रेफर्ड टू द आर्बिट्रेशन एंड कंसिलिएशन एक्ट 1996. नाउ आफ्टर हैविंग अंडरस्टूड दिस फर्स्ट शेड्यूल हमने देखा है. अभी हम देखेंगे कि एग्रीमेंट में क्या पॉइंट डालना बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. एज आई सेड, कोई फॉर्मेट नहीं है, ये हम गाइडेंस दे रहे हैं कि भाई आपको एग्रीमेंट में क्या पॉइंट देंगे तो आपको दिक्कत नहीं आएगी. ये सब पॉइंट अगर आप कवर करते हैं, और इसमें वो भी कवर हो गए कि जो आपके फर्स्ट शेड्यूल में अगर कोई भी एक पॉइंट जो फर्स्ट शेड्यूल में हमने देखे, इवन इफ यू मिस आउट वन पॉइंट, देन the first schedule will apply over the agreement, otherwise the agreement prevails. एक याद रखिए, agreement will always prevail over the first schedule in this case. So the first thing, I am not going into recitals. This LLP agreement of LLP formed on so and so date between so and so XYZ, वो सब मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ. We are professionals, हमको पता है क्या करना है, तो उस चक्कर में मैं नहीं जा रहा हूँ. I am just directly coming to the content. फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट जो आपको लगेगा ऑब्जेक्ट्स ऑफ द एलएलपी. फ्रेंड्स, हम लोग मेमोरेंडम बनाते हैं कंपनी का, उसमें हमको ऑब्जेक्ट्स लिखना रहता है. ऑब्जेक्ट 1, ऑब्जेक्ट 2, अदर ऑब्जेक्ट, एंसिलरी ऑब्जेक्ट्स. आजकल वो बंद कर दिया है कंपनी रैक में, बट होता था लाइन में. और यहाँ भी मैंने देखा है कई बार कुछ लाइन डाल दी है, ऑल्दो व्हाट ऑब्जेक्ट्स यू आर सबमिटिंग टू आरओसी इज डिफरेंट. उसके अलावा आप डाल देते हो ये एडिशनल ऑब्जेक्ट्स, एंसिलरी ऑब्जेक्ट्स, फिर ऑब्जेक्ट्स एज पर अनेक्सर. प्लीज नोट, दे आर नॉट वैलिड. इट विल नॉट स्टैंड द टेस्ट ऑफ लॉ. ऑब्जेक्ट्स अर्लियर, सी हियर आल्सो देयर इज अ इवोल्यूशन. पहले जब हम फॉर्म 1 भरते थे, ऑब्जेक्ट्स जो आप फॉर्म 1 में भरते हो यानी जो एट द टाइम ऑफ नेम अप्रूवल, they are automatically picked at the time of form 2 filling for incorporation. They are automatically picked in your LLP agreement for form number 3. तो आप उसके अलावा वो फॉर्म 3 में दूसरा कोई ऑब्जेक्ट डाल ही नहीं हो, तो वही डालना है. तो इसके लिए एग्रीमेंट में भी वही होने चाहिए. आपको केवल यही ख्याल रखना है. वही जमाने में थोड़ा बड़ा अलाउ करते थे, फिर इन्होंने वर्ड्स का लिमिट लाया 5000 कैरेक्टर्स, फिर बोला 2000 कैरेक्टर्स. नाउ द लिमिट इज ओनली 500 कैरेक्टर्स. So you have to define the objects in 500 characters in such a way that it should cover all your objects. Point number 2, हमको पार्टनरशिप, जैसे मैंने बोला हमको आदत है पार्टनरशिप डीड एंड और एनी अदर ऑब्जेक्ट दैट द पार्टनर्स में म्यूचुअली डिसाइड. प्लीज मत डालिएगा, आपका रिजेक्ट किया जाएगा. They don't allow that. You have to be very specific and very clear and crisp. You cannot say मैं ये डालूंगा और बाद में सोच के दूसरा भी डालूंगा, वो नहीं चलेगा. तो प्लीज टेक केयर. और एग्जैक्टली वही वर्डिंग जो आपने फॉर्म 1 में डाला वो ऑब्जेक्ट इसमें आप डालिए एग्रीमेंट में. Otherwise there can be problems. See, you don't get problems regularly, but only when you go in dispute you face problems, which we know when people are coming to us for agreement. So when people come to us for vetting of their agreements, we take care that these points are properly addressed. Then a registered address has to be put in. You can also put in a communication address. It is allowed. You have to fill in another form, form number 12, and submit it. You can have a separate communication address. Just after incorporation, fill that form with the proof of address and submit to ROC. Then you will be able to put in one registered address and one communication address or your corporate address, jisko bola jata. Then you have to ensure you put in the contribution. Again, I am telling you here, you can इधर कोई ना ऑथोराइज कैपिटल है ना पेड अप कैपिटल है, यू जस्ट पुट इन द कंट्रीब्यूशन. My contribution, supposing I am doing a project of a building, my contribution would be 2 crore rupees. Technically that is your authorized, but it will be brought in on the occurrence of an event. कि पहले मैं LLP एग्रीमेंट साइन करूंगा तो हम लोग 1 लाख रुपया लाएंगे, 50-50, 2 पार्टनर 50-50 लाख लाएंगे. देन जब हम जमीन खरीदेंगे तो 50 लाख और लाएंगे. तो ऑन द डे वी बाय द प्रॉपर्टी, 50 lakh rupees will bring in more. The day we do the foundation, we will bring in 10 lakhs more. The day we put the first slab, we will put in 20 lakh rupees more. ऐसे करके करके आप 2 करोड़ का भी ब्रेकअप दे सकते हैं. डिफाइन द इवेंट, डिफाइन द डेट्स. अगर डिफाइन कर सकते हैं तो डेट डिफाइन करिए, तभी ट्रिगर होगा. तो इट इज, जैसे मैंने आपको बोला, आपने लिख दिया 2 करोड़, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. स्टैम्प ड्यूटी भी ज्यादा बड़ी नहीं है इसमें, तो यू कैन इजीली डू इट. The point is वो लिख दीजिए and then slowly you can bring it, and please clearly mention it in your agreement. There is no harm at all. So it can be event based, it can be amount based, and there is nothing like that. The amount has to be brought in within 1 month. थोड़ा अगर इधर उधर हो गया आगे पीछे तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, कोई पेनल्टीज नहीं है, like a company. Then as we discussed earlier, the mode of contribution has to be mentioned, as it is cash or a property or a intangible property or services, whatever it is that you have to mention. Then this is another advantage of a LLP, changes in the contribution. How can the changes be done, वो आप लिख सकते हैं. अभी हमको कंपनीज एक्ट में हमको पता है कि अगर मेरे को कैपिटल बढ़ाना है, so if my authorized permits I issue a rights, then those formalities have to be followed for issuing a rights share and all that. If it is not, I have to increase my authorized capital, pay the additional stamp duty. यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं है, सिंपल आप भरिए. आपका मैक्सिमम स्टैम्प ड्यूटी अगर भरा हुआ है तो 500 रुपए के स्टैम्प पेपर में आपका काम हो जाएगा. जस्ट इंक्रीज है, call a meeting of the partners, sign a supplementary LLP agreement that now we want to increase the capital from 1 lakh rupees to 1 crore rupees. Finish. खाली जो difference is stamp duty रहेगा, that is not much. We will see the maximum stamp duty is only 15,000 rupees. So it is not much. अगर आपका maximum भर दिया हुआ है 15,000 rupees, तो only 500 rupees stamp paper will suffice. And if you want to reduce also, you have to just call a meeting of the partners, say that we are reducing, कि now our project has failed, we are not doing it. मेरा 2 करोड़ की जगह मैं 2 लाख पे कैपिटल लेके आ रहा हूँ. You can end it immediately the moment you submit form number 3 and that form 3 is approved. You withdraw your money. Nobody will block you. So easy. Unlike in a company, आप reduction of capital में जाइए, procedure में जाइए, NCLT में जाइए. पहले हाई कोर्ट होता था, अभी NCLT है. Approvals लीजिए, मगज मारिए, कुछ नहीं है. This is the simplest form. Then please mention your sharing of profit and loss, whether it will be similar, equal, unequal. किसको क्या मिलेगा, किसको क्या नहीं मिलेगा. कई बार फाइनेंसिंग पार्टनर है तो उसको खाली प्रॉफिट चाहिए, उसको लॉस में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. That also you can define. So you can mention. Again, I come to the point of remuneration. As I said, if you don't mention the remuneration, you will not be eligible for remuneration, and you will not be eligible for deduction under 40B also. Please mention the remuneration. Again, point number 2. ऐसा मत लीजिए remuneration जो हम पार्टनरशिप में करते हैं, remuneration will be as per section 40B of the partnership act. 90% of the first 3 lakhs and 60% of any amount greater than. No, sorry. Please quantify the amount. 40B has got sufficient safeguards. If you are paying more than the deduction allowable, the partners are not double taxed and they are getting the benefits. You please mention, quantify कि A को 25 मिलेगा, B को 50 मिलेगा. Don't go by the general criteria. Then mention who are the designated partners and their rights and obligations. तो यहाँ अगर आपको designated partner को कोई role देना है, कोई right देना है, तो please mention. Otherwise, by default, as I told you, they have only obligations, they have no rights. और obligation एक तो वो लिखना ही पड़ेगा कि they have to ensure that statutory compliance are going. And apart from that, whatever other obligations you want to put it, you can put it over there. Then rights and obligations of partners. यहाँ भी अगर आप role डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं कि भाई A and B will not have a role in the management, you will not have a role in the management, just mention. उसमें लिख दीजिए कि A और B को मैनेजमेंट में रोल नहीं रहेगा, C और D को ही रहेगा. या ए और बी का खाली इतना राइट रहेगा। वो स्पेसिफिकली अगर आपके 50 पार्टनर है, अगर आप 50 पार्टनर के इंडिविजुअल राइट डिफाइन करना चाहते हैं, यू कैन डिफाइन, कोई आपको रोकेगा नहीं, आपके ऊपर है आप कैसा करना है। देन प्रोसीजर फॉर एडमिशन, रिटायरमेंट, एक्सपल्शन, डेथ पे भाई लीगल एयर को लेना है नहीं लेना है, वो आप सब इसमें डाल के रख दीजिए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी। ये थोड़ा पार्टनरशिप के हिसाब से। Then we come to this important of assignment of financial interest, which is not there in the Partnership Act, but again, the shares you can assign or mortgage in a company. So similarly, financial interest in a LLP also you can assign. The only thing is, इसमें procedure लिखी है. If you say no assignment is allowed, it is not allowed. Then you mention a procedure how it will be done, that the assignee has to inform to the LLP or the NOC is to be obtained, and then once the assignment is done, the assignee has to inform and it is noted, then the assignee will have only right in the financial interest. Please take note कि assignee नहीं बोल सकता है मैं डे टू डे मैनेजमेंट में, अगर XYZ पार्टनर है और Z ने अपना 50% शेयर जो है या 100% शेयर जो है वो A को उसने असाइन कर दिया, मॉर्गेज कर दिया, तो A का खाली राइट रहेगा उसका जो प्रॉफिट आता है वो लेने का, बाकी वो Z का जो मैनेजमेंट में राइट है डेट विल रिमेन विद Z ओनली, वो A को ट्रांसफर नहीं होगा। वो ये नहीं बोल सकता है कि Z की जगह मैं आके मैनेजमेंट में बैठूंगा, नहीं बैठ सकता। उसका खाली यही है कि भैया आपको प्रॉफिट और अकाउंट देखना है, भाई शेयर बराबर गया कि नहीं, बस उतना आपका हक है, आपको उतना ही मिलेगा, ये खाली ध्यान दीजिएगा। देन मीटिंग एंड मिनट्स, एज आई सेड, कुछ भी नहीं लिखा है, नथिंग इज मेंशन्ड वेदर partners meeting has to be done, AGM has to be done, nothing is mentioned unlike the Companies Act. आप define करिए how frequently you want to have meetings, how do you want to have meeting, how the notices will be issued, इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है, no formalities, you have to mention, you have to define your own rules, and then how minutes will be mentioned and where it will be mentioned, where it will be maintained, you have to decide. All it is flexible, सब आपको करना है, कोई आपके ऊपर बाइंडिंग नहीं है, कोई बंधन नहीं है। देन लोन्स फ्रॉम पार्टनर्स आपको लेना है, ले सकते हैं, क्या लेंगे, क्या रेट पे लेंगे, एवरीथिंग यू कैन राइट ओवर हियर, नो प्रॉब्लम। Then again, non-compete clause, if you want to put it that partners during the pendency of the LLP will not do a similar business, yeah, after leaving the LLP will not do a similar business in a geographical area for a period, जो आपको लिखना है, whatever you can think, please put in it, no issues at all. बैंकिंग कैसा होगा, ज्वाइंट सिग्नेटरी, सिग्नल सिग्नेटरी, अलग अलग एरिया में होगा, अकाउंट्स कैसे मेंटेन होंगे, ऑडिट कैसा होगा। ऑडिट का मैंने आपको बताया कि मैंडेटरी इट इज इफ यू हैव अ टर्नओवर ऑफ मोर देन 40 lakhs और कैपिटल ऑफ 25 lakhs, बट स्टिल if you want to have a audit for other conditions also you can do it, nobody is stopping, you can say मेरा एक दिन पहले दिन से ऑडिट होगा, मेरा यही ऑडिटर होगा, या ऑडिटर अपॉइंट कैसा होगा वो भी आपको मेंशन करना है। यहाँ LLP एक्ट में कहीं नहीं लिखा है ऑडिटर्स अपॉइंटमेंट कैसा होगा, ज्वाइंट ऑडिटर्स होगा, इंडिविजुअल होगा, कुछ भी नहीं लिखा है, कोई ऑडिट का फॉर्मेट नहीं है, कोई अकाउंट का फॉर्मेट नहीं है, कोई शेड्यूल 2 नहीं है यहाँ पे फॉर्मेट देने की। So you have to decide. Then you want to put any restrictions on the partners, you can put the restrictions on the partners, what they can do, what they cannot do. So you can put in fixing their liabilities over here. Then amendments to the agreement, how the agreement will be amended, क्या procedure follow होगा। Again, see, again, I am telling you, Companies Act में procedure लिखा हुआ है, how the articles have to be amended, how the memorandum has to be amended, यहाँ कुछ नहीं है। You have to decide the procedure, how the agreement will be amended, 33% के साथ, 50% के साथ, 75% unanimous. You mention everything you want, you do it. How the meeting will be called for amendment, if you want to define that procedure, please do it. Then the indemnity clause, as I told you, the partners indemnifying each other, the partners indemnifying the LLP indemnifying the partners, three-way indemnity clause will come. You have to mention the winding up procedures. नहीं भी बोलेंगे तो वो LLP Act में दिया हुआ है, but you can mention how do you want to wind up. If you again here also, if you want to put a procedure, please put it. The flexibility of the LLP Act is such कि you can do anything you want, but it has to be within the four corners of the law. That's what I'm saying. And resolution of disputes, if you want the Arbitration Act, then to by default, even if you don't put it, will go under arbitration. But if you want some other mode, mediation, conciliation, high court, please mention it, that it will be to the jurisdiction of so and so court and all that. You can do it, no problem. And then there may be certain ancillary clauses, not mandatory. If it is converted from a firm, so in the beginning will say that this LLP is formed after conversion of a firm, conversion of a company, or any other restriction that you think that it should be there. These are the basic points that I told you. If you think anything else, you can definitely think about that. Now we come to the stamp duty on an LLP agreement. In a memorandum and article, we have predefined stamp duty under the Stamp Act. So accordingly, we have to pay based on the capital and all that. But in case of a LLP, because the LLP is treated as a partnership, not only in the Income Tax Act, but basically by all the state governments. So you have to look into the state stamp duty, which is applicable, Maharashtra Stamp Duty Act, or wherever state you are forming it. So you look at it, and accordingly the stamp duty will be applicable, which is applicable to partnership. So in Maharashtra, it is 500 rupees for every 50,000 thereof, or subject to a maximum of 15,000 rupees. That is the stamp duty that you will end up paying. But yes, if you bring in an immovable property, then the agreement stamp duty payable on the conveyance will apply. So then, in case you are bringing in a immovable property as your partnership share, then the agreement stamp duty will increase. Otherwise, the maximum is 15,000 rupees. And as I said, if you want to increase the contribution later and you have paid the 15,000 rupees, only a 500 rupees stamp paper would suffice. So you need not worry about that, the differential agreement and all. The other stamp duty is on a conversion to LLP. On conversion of firm to LLP, so there is no stamp duty, because under the Stamp Act, the firm LLP itself is treated as a partnership firm, so no issue. The issue is of a conversion of a company to LLP. So normally there is only one transfer engineering judgment which says, it was there in case of Chapter 9 conversion, which says that since the structure is the same, there should be no stamp duty. But still many officers are not, in the stamp offices are not accepting. So what you have to do is, you please submit to them for adjudication, try to get to their satisfaction and adjust it. Normally they won't charge you if you are able to satisfy them, or many a time they charge you on a concessional rate. See, all this arises only when you got a immovable property to convert. Otherwise, there is nothing on this thing. It will go normal. So that you can look. So what are the differences between an LLP agreement versus a memorandum or a association of article of association? The contents are predefined mostly in memorandum and articles. LLP agreement, you have the flexibility to define the contents. Nobody will come in between. You have a right to do it. The flexibility, as I told you, you can think of anything which is legally possible and permissible. Please mention that in the agreement. Nobody will challenge you. You can mention it over there. And then restrictions. Again, there are amendment restrictions and all. There are there in the memorandum and articles. As far as the LLP agreement is concerned, there are no restrictions until you define some restrictions in your agreement. There are no restrictions by the Act. So it is a very simple document. And as far as the stamp duty is concerned, we have already understood that the maximum stamp duty is 15,000 on the conveyance, whereas in case of a memorandum and article, the maximum stamp duty depends on your capital. But from time to time, whether when you increase, the differential has to be paid. So you have to look it over there. So this also advantage is there. Now we look into some direct tax aspects of LLP. LLP is to be taxed as a partnership firm under the Income Tax Act. Partner share. So because since it is a partnership firm, the partners getting the share of profit are exempt under 10(2)(a), and the returns have to be signed by the designated partners. All the partners jointly and severally are liable. Here is one of the exceptions where your liability goes unlimited only in case of a winding up. the liability of the partners will go unlimited. Only in case of winding up. Please take note. So now we'll just look into the sections that define the taxation. 223(1) has been amended to include LLP within definition of the firm. The partner has been included, of LLP has been included as a partner of the firm. LLP is included as a partnership under the Act. Section 140 defines that returns have to be signed by the designated partners. 167C, we learned that on liquidation, the joint and several liability of partners will be, this is the exception to the limited liability rule. And then section 44AB AD, explanation A, specifically excludes LLP. So LLP is not eligible for the benefits of 44AD. Please take care. Then section 115 JC amendment, alternate minimum tax will apply. There will be no MAT, there will be no 115 JB, but 115 JC, because it is applicable to a partnership, and LLP being a partnership, 115 JC will come, and then 115 JD tax credit also by default will be given for the AMT paid. Then the normal regulation partnership provisions will apply to a partnership, like 45(3) introduction of a capital asset, 45(4) transfer of capital asset on dissolution or retirement to partner, 40(b) remuneration and interest to partners, 48(2) payment to related parties. These will automatically apply because they apply to the partnership. Here it will come. Now we come to the most important aspect, is the taxation on conversion of conversion to LLP. Sorry, this is a mistake. So basically, there will be no conversion tax on conversion of firm to LLP. All the partners continue to be partners in LLP, and all the rights and obligations are the same. So friends, here you don't have to worry, because if you are converting a firm, if all the partners continue to be partners and all the rights, यानी सभी partner अगर जो firm में है वो LLP में partner बनते हैं बाद में conversion, और उनके सब rights and obligations वही रहते हैं, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, और आपको दिक्कत होगी भी नहीं, क्योंकि अगर आप LLP एक्ट भी जो हम देखेंगे बाद में कन्वर्जन, अगर कन्वर्जन में आप देखेंगे कि जब वो फर्म कन्वर्ट होती है तो उसकी क्राइटेरिया यही है कि जो भी पार्टनर फर्म में है उनको सभी को पार्टनर बनना पड़ता है LLP में, और उनके जो भी राइट्स एंड ऑब्लिगेशन वो सेम ही रहते हैं, वो चेंज नहीं होते। तो बाय डिफॉल्ट आपको इसके बारे में टेंशन लेने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। बट इफ यू आर कन्वर्टिंग अ कंपनी टू LLP, देन 4713B में कुछ 7 कंडीशन दिए हुए हैं। पहले 6 कंडीशन थे, फिर हमारे यहाँ क्या है, इवॉल्व होते रहता है कि कुछ लोगों ने उससे गलत फायदे उठाए, तो उसकी वजह से एक 7वां कंडीशन भी डाला गया। तो 7 कंडीशन अगर आप सेटिस्फाई करेंगे तो आपको कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स नहीं लगेगा कन्वर्जन ऑफ कंपनी टू LLP, वरना आपको लग जाएगा। देन सी दिस 47A(4) सेज कि अगर in the year you do not follow 4713B, then there will be capital gains from transfer of capital assets or intangible assets shall be in the year it is not done, then the successor LLP would be liable for those capital gains in that year. If you have transferred now and maybe at the time of transfer you are complying with 4713B, but there are certain conditions which have to continue for 3 years or 5 years. If you are not continuing, वो 3 या 5 साल तक अगर आप नहीं करते, तो जिस साल में आप कंटिन्यू नहीं करेंगे, कंप्लाई नहीं करेंगे, उस साल में LLP के ऊपर टैक्स लग जाएगा। वरना तो अगर आप 4713 भी शुरू में ही अगर आप वो नहीं कर रहे, तो then there will be tax on the firm, the company as well as on the shareholders. वो ध्यान पे रखिए। So what are the 4713B provisions? There are 7. Out of 7, 3 are by default as per law of the conversion, so you don't have to worry. The remaining is 4 that you have to worry about. What is all assets and liabilities of the company immediately before the conversion become the assets. This is the mandatory requirement of the LLP Act also, कि जब आप convert करते हैं तो सभी assets and liabilities कंपनी के ट्रांसफर होंगे LLP को, तो वो by default आपका fulfill होता है। All shareholders of the company immediately before the conversion and their capital contribution and profit sharing ratio are the same in the LLP. तो ये on the date of conversion ये भी आपको ऑटोमेटिक फुलफिल होता है, क्योंकि वो कन्वर्जन की कंडीशन है कि सभी शेयर होल्डर्स को पार्टनर बनना पड़ेगा और उनका कैपिटल कंट्रीब्यूशन भी वही रेशियो में जाएगा जो रेशियो में यहाँ पे है, प्रॉफिट शेयरिंग रेशियो भी वही रेशियो में जाएगा, यानी वो कैपिटल के रेशियो में ही रहता है कंपनी में, तो उसी में जाएगा, तो वो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. दिस इज फुलफिल्ड, यू कैन नॉट चेंज इट. The shareholders of the company did not receive any consideration or benefit directly or indirectly in any form other than by way of share of profit. तो अगर आप कुछ एक्स्ट्रा कंसिडरेशन एलएलपी आपको निकाल के नहीं दे रही है, यानी ओवर एंड अबव ऑन कन्वर्जन, इफ दे आर नॉट पेइंग यू दैट फॉर कन्वर्टिंग वी हैव गॉट दिस मेनी रिजर्व्स एंड वी आर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग दिस, then 4713B is violated. If it is not done, then 4713B is not violated. Agreement aggregate of the profit sharing ratio of the shareholders, the LLP, shall not be less than 50% at any time during the period of 5 years. तो कन्वर्ट होने के बाद 5 साल तक जो एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर होल्डर थे, यानी जो एग्जिस्टिंग फाउंडिंग पार्टनर्स बनते हैं, उनका जो है आप नए पार्टनर ला सकते हो, मगर एग्जिस्टिंग वालों का जो शेयर टोटल शेयर हो 50% के नीचे नहीं जाना चाहिए. 5 सालों तक की ये कंडीशन है, कृपया ध्यान दीजिए. This is the most stringent condition. Then the total sales turnover or gross receipts in the business in any of the 3 previous year. पिछले 3 साल में किसी भी एक साल में 60 लाख के ऊपर आपकी टर्नओवर रही तो आप कन्वर्ट भी करते हैं तो आपको कैपिटल गेन्स का एग्जम्पशन नहीं मिलेगा. सो योर टर्नओवर इन एनी, यानी हर साल में 60 लाख के नीचे होने चाहिए. दिस इज नॉट द एवरेज ऑफ द लास्ट 3 years या मिनिमम मैक्सिमम, इट इज एनी. 60 लाख के नीचे आपका टर्नओवर रहना चाहिए पिछले 3 सालों में, तभी आप कन्वर्ट करने पे, कन्वर्ट आप कर सकते, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. कन्वर्ट करने पे आपको कैपिटल गेन्स नहीं लगेगा. Similarly, this was the 7th clause that I am saying. This was the 7th clause added. Total value of assets of the company should not exceed 5 crore. So if your assets of the company exceeds 5 crore rupees and the date of conversion, then also you will not be eligible for that 4713B exemption. This was done because a big company did 255 LLPs in a single day and tried to take benefits. So now that work has already been done, but then this amendment came so that further that case is not repeated. No amount is paid either directly or indirectly to any of the partners out of the balance of accumulated reserves. तो अगर आपका कोई जो रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस पड़ा है कंपनी में जो कि पार्टनर्स के अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर होता है ऑन कन्वर्जन, 3 साल तक आप वो विड्रॉ नहीं कर पाएंगे. आपको सिर्फ 3 साल रुकना है. आफ्टर 3 years you can withdraw it. So please take care. These are very important conditions. Maintain 15% in 5 years, and then 60 lakh rupees, 5 crore rupees, and then you cannot withdraw the reserve balance for 3 years. These are the 4 important conditions that you have to look into. The other 3 are by default fulfilled by virtue of conversion. So what are the effects of conversion of LLP under the Income Tax Act? Section 32 says that your LLP depreciation allowed in the LLP will not exceed the same rates, and it will not exceed the total amount. So if for 6 months you have claimed depreciation in the partnership firm earlier or maybe in the company earlier, so you will be eligible to claim only the remaining part. So you cannot claim double depreciation. Yes, this is a clarificatory provision coming in. These are all basically clarificatory amendments that have come in. In case of a conversion, the cost of acquisition of the asset shall be the cost of acquisition of predecessor company, and because it is transferred at book value, the cost will also be the same. The cost of acquisition of rights of partners shall be deemed to be the cost of acquisition of shares of the company prior to consideration. Then no credit for MAT because there is no MAT. So no MAT credit, if it is pending as on the date of conversion, will be given to you. Section 30. Then in case you have an amortization like VRS and all that, so that amortization, if it is pending, you can give that amortization subsequently. Whatever is pending, अगर आपका 3 साल में उसको राइट ऑफ करना है तो 2 साल हो गए तो तीसरा साल आपको LLP में वो अलाउ हो जाएगा. Explanation 13 has stated that in case deduction under has been allowed, so the cost of that asset will be taken at nil at the time of conversion. So if you have already claimed a deduction, you cannot claim a double deduction. These are basically clarificatory provisions to allow. And then the WDV will be the same. Opening WDV will be the closing WDV prior to conversion, that is in 43(6) it is given. And here also relating to the business loss also, it says that if you do not fulfill any of the conditions of 47(13)(b), then you will not be eligible for carry forward of business loss or unabsorbed basis depreciation of the predecessor company in the LLP. The point what I want to highlight here is that if you want to continue even the business loss, you have the business loss, it will be allowed, but subject to not only it affects on your capital gains but also on your business losses, which you will not be eligible to claim. And in case in the beginning you are complied with 47(13)(b) and subsequently you are not compliant, then that loss would be taxable in the year in which those conditions are not complied with. Now we come to the FDI part. What is FDI in a LLP? The central government initially, this was the first time that FDI was introduced by Press Note number 1, 2011 series, issued in May 2011. It allowed very restricted FDI and LLPs. This was when our late President Shri Pranab Mukherjee sir was the finance minister. This was the first time when this was introduced. And now, after 2-3 circular, this is the final. FDI in LLP is allowed in those sectors where 100% FDI is allowable under the automatic route, except in cases where sectors eligible to accept 100% FDI under but are subject to FDI linked performances related conditions. So minimum capitalization rocks are required, NBFC, development township. So if minimum capitalization is required, they will be bringing, although it is under 100% automatic route, but then these conditions have to be fulfilled if certain conditions are there. Or sectors eligible to accept less than 100% FDI under automatic rule will not be eligible to accept FDIs. Sectors eligible to accept FDI under government rule, agriculture, plantation activity and print media, FDI is not allowed. Sectors eligible to accept FDI, any sector which is prohibited under the existing FDI policy, there also you cannot get FDI. And this, mind you, will apply to all the down the line FDIs also. And then who are the eligible investors who can bring in FDI? A person resident outside India or an entity incorporated outside India shall be eligible investor, except, here also there are exceptions, a citizen or entity of Pakistan and Bangladesh is not allowed. SEBI registered FIIs are not allowed. SEBI registered FVCIs are not allowed. SEBI registered QFIs are not allowed. A portfolio investor registered in accordance with the SBI, SEBI is not allowed. So these are the restrictions on FDI that you have to take care. And then we just have a look at the conversion part, and then we will be ending this part, and then I will go to the documentation part. So what types of conversion are there? One is the conversion of a firm to LLP, conversion of a private limited company to LLP, and conversion of a unlisted limited company. Mind you, a listed limited company cannot be converted. So in case of a conversion of firm to LLP, schedule 2 will apply. In case of private limited, the third schedule, and then the fourth schedule. There are basically 4 schedules to first, second, third, fourth to the LLP Act. First schedule we saw in relation to the agreement, and the remaining 3 schedules are in relation to the conversion of the LLPs. And on conversion, the LLP is mandated to inform the registering authority within 15 days of registration that we have converted. Here also there is a dichotomy, we will see. So for what does the second schedule say in relation to conversion of firm? All the partners of firm to be the partners of the LLP. So all the partners who are there in the firm prior to the conversion. And one more thing is important, that it has to be a registered firm, and unregistered firm cannot be converted. Please take care. An unregistered firm cannot be converted, so it has to be a registered firm. All the partners have. So what the problem happens is that out of 4 partners, if one partner says no, I don't want to convert, so what you will have to do is you have to request him that please let the firm convert into LLP and then resign, because if he resigns prior, then again you have to go to the whole procedure of registrar of firms. Your retirement deed has to be registered, and then only you will be able to convert. So please take care. Then you can request that partner to please continue and resign after that. Nobody will stop them there. Then Form 17 is to be filled. LLP to inform the registrar of firms about conversion within 15 days. So once your incorporation is done, within 15 days, you have to inform the registrar of firms that you have been converted to LLP. All the assets, liabilities, and all rights and obligations are to be transferred to the LLP. Statement of conversion is to be mentioned in all correspondence for 12 months. That is your email, envelopes, letterheads, everything has to mention that this LLP is formed after conversion from the firm. All the pending proceedings against the firm to continue against LLP. So all whatever pending proceedings are there against the firm, they will continue against the LLP. That is, maybe the cases are going on, suits are going on, whatever it is. Just because the firm is transferred doesn't mean that the pending procedures will not be there. And then partners continue to be liable for liabilities. Yes, your liability becomes limited only after the date of conversion. Up to that, all the liabilities of the partners are unlimited. So till the date of conversion, everything will apply. All the existing contracts and agreements to continue as if of the LLP. So supposing you got an agreement with some vendors for some supply or some customers for some supply. So all you have to do is just sign an addendum that saying that the name has changed and everything will remain the same. Similarly, you may have an agreement with your employees or contractors. So only an addendum would suffice, and automatically all the agreements and contract would continue as if there was no change. Now we would come to the conversion of private limited and unlisted public company. I have combined the third and fourth schedule because the provisions are the same. They only say about different companies. So the first and foremost condition here also is that all the shareholders of the company have to be partners of the LLP. There is no security interest in the existing assets should be subsisting. So if you have got a mortgage or loan and all that, you have to first clear that, convert that company into LLP, and then again you may re-enter into that mortgage agreement. Then LLP is to inform ROC about conversion within 15 days. This is what I was calling the dichotomy. What happens is the ROC is mandated that once you convert a company to LLP, you have to by default delete the name of the company that it is converted. Still, the LLP is mandated to inform the ROC within 15 days that we have converted. If the same ROC which is converting, the same ROC which is mandated to delete, why should you want us to do a double work? But still, this is how our Indian bureaucracy works. So it is there. Then all liabilities, assets, rights, and obligations have to be transferred. Similar to a firm, all your statement of conversion has to be maintained in all correspondence. All the existing agreements and contracts will continue, and all the proceedings against the company will continue against the LLP. These are the common provisions which we have already understood in case of a firm. I would not like to go into details. Now, friends, we would look at the accounts and the audit procedures. Now, this is not mentioned in the Act. Please take care. I am just telling you for your support. This is not mentioned in the Act. Accounts have to be maintained. That is understood. The only thing you have to do is statement of accounts and solvency has to be filed within 6 months of the end of the financial year. This is what the law says. What actually happens is it is to be filed within 30 days of the end of 6 months. That is form number 8 has to be filed within 30 days of end of 6 months of the financial year. That is 30th of October. Please note the date. There are two important dates. One more date I will be coming in subsequently in an LLP calendar. Except for your event related forms, there are only two important dates. Unlike in case of a company, you have to fill in so many forms. Here for accounts, you have to fill in one form, form number 8, very simple form, on 30th of October every year. That is 30 days from the end of 6 months. Mind you, friends, why I am harping, every single day of default will bring you 100 rupees of penalty, and there is no waiver in that. Please take care. So by 30th October, your accounts has to be filed. Now again, there is a discrepancy here that as we understood in the beginning that no reserves have to be maintained. But whereas if you see form number 8, it asks you what are the reserves in your company, LLP. So this is how the bureaucracy works, but it so happens. And then audit is mandatory. So you have to get the auditor's signature. In case your turnover is exceeding 40 lakhs, please take care the turnover is only 40 lakhs. It is not increased. It was, although This was introduced in the act when the tax audit 44AD limit was 40 lakhs, and now it has got much higher, but still that limit still remains at 40 lakhs because it requires amendment in the act. That amendment has not yet been done, and the contribution exceeds 25 lakhs. Here the contribution according to them would include your reserves also, and the turnover of 40 lakhs as per the bureaucracy. The turnover would include your other income also. So please take care in this case when you are preparing a balance sheet. Audit has to be conducted by a chartered accountant. No pre-described format, no audit format is given. So as auditor, we are mandated by SA 700 and SA 700 revised. Please look into that before issuing a report. There is no preset accounts format to be given and no preset audit report. And then there is one more document to be filled in, form number 11. That is the annual return which has to be filed within 60 days of the end of financial year. So 60 days of end of financial year is 30th of May. So these are the only two dates that you have to remember. Form number 8, 30th of October, form number 11, 30th of May. This is a very simple form. Just you have to say that who are the partners at the beginning, who are the partners at the end, and there's any change. Like we fill in the annual return of the company, but this is a much simpler form. And if your turnover contribution exceeds 25 lakhs, you will have to get a digital attach of a company secretary. Otherwise, it is not required. Annual return is to be certified only in case your capital exceeds 25 lakhs. So now we see the difference between LLP versus company in accounts and audit, which is very important to understand. Statutory requirement. In a company, the statutory requirement, the moment you form a company, audit is mandatory. Whereas in a LLP, audit is mandatory only if your turnover exceeds 40 lakhs. 40 लाख के ऊपर टर्नओवर गई तो लगेगा, या 25 लाख के ऊपर कैपिटल गया तो लगेगा. बाकी कंपनीज एक्ट में तो आपने एक कंपनी बनाई नहीं कि आपका ऑडिट लग जाता है. एप्लीकेशन ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड्स. हम लोग चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है, वी आर बाउंड बाय द इंस्टीट्यूट, तो स्टैंडर्ड्स वुड अप्लाई. जो भी मैंडेटरी स्टैंडर्ड्स है वो एलएलपी को भी लगेंगे. हालांकि कंपनीज एक्ट में लिखा गया है कि द अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स वुड अप्लाई. यहाँ पे ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं लिखा है, बट स्टिल the standards would apply as we as chartered accountants are mandated to report on the standards under the institute ethics. Then audit report. यहाँ पे ना कोई माव कारो है ना कोई कारो है, जैसे कि कंपनी में मिलता है कारो एंड माव कारो था पहले. Formats are there. Here there is no format. You can devise your own format, but you have to take care. SA 700 and 700 revise. The formats issued by the institute are bound to go into that. In statutory audit, again we have looked that if your capital exceeds 25 lakhs or turnover exceeds 14 lakhs rupees, you have to get the statutory audit done. Otherwise, that is not required. Now, statutory filings. Under the LLP Act, as I told you, there are only two filings, form number 8 and form number 11, apart from the event based. In a company, you know, for a profit and loss also, you have to fill in those forms, and AOC 4 and all that has to be filled in. And here, my dear friends, with form number 8, no balance sheet, no financial statement has to be attached. You have to just fill in the form, no document has to be attached. As against in a company, and depending on whether it's a listed company or so, you may have to get a XBRL done and attach the balance sheet, attach the audit report. No document has to be attached. Just fill in the data in form number 8 and submit it. Very easy to do it. Even form number 11 to fill is very easy. Then the responsibilities of directors and designated partners here is the same, to ensure that the compliances are done in time. Otherwise, they would be liable for the penalties, as we have seen. For other stakeholders also, as and when there is a change, you have to report. Like if the directors are changing, so the forms may change. Here in LLP, you have form number 4. In case the partners resign or new partners are added or partners die, or in case of the directors resign, new designated partners adding or designated partners resigning, change in designated partners. So form number 4 has to be filled in within 15 days of the event. That you have to take care. Now we'll just look into the residuary classes of the limited liability partnership. Mergers, the provisions are similar to provisions of the Companies Act, so I'm not going into details. Friends, winding up and dissolution. Again, this would what I would like to highlight. the indulgence of the excess indulgence of the bureaucracy. It was very simple in the original act. If you see that LLP was given a voluntary winding up provision that you can just pass a resolution and write to the NCLT that we would like to wind up, and it was a simple process. If they find that there is nothing pending, they would immediately give you. But then बाबूगिरी हो गया कि भाई अरे हमारे पूछे बगैर कैसा हो, why are we not involved? So they came into between. So they brought the LLP winding up rules 2010, which stated that all the provisions of the Companies Act, section 460 and onwards, which apply to winding up the company, will apply, complicating the whole matter. Then better sense prevailed and they brought in LLP winding rules 2012, which are simplified, but still they are stringent. So winding up procedures as basically laid out in the Companies Act 56 will apply, because this has not been amended after the Companies Act 2013. So still those apply. Now, friends, this was all the legal provisions that I have told you in relation to LLP. Now, as I told you, I will just take 5-10 minutes more for the documentation aspects, which will help you, because this is now this part is never written anywhere in the Act. This is just based on an experience that I have listed out these things. It may help you support your client for doing a proper documentation. What I have done is I have distributed the documentation in 4 parts, that is master data, statutory records, ancillary records, and recurring records. Mind you, this is not there in any of the statute, you will not find anywhere. So what are the master data records? The certificate of incorporation, form number 16. LLP agreement that you do, any supplementary agreements that you have done, list of partners and consent of the partners. Get a writing consent of the partners that they are willing to become the partners. List of the designated partners and their consents in writing. Then resignations of the partners as and when they have happened. And then that form also you fill. Then resolution for amending LLP agreement, including admission, retirement. So whatever resolutions you have done, especially relating to these clauses, admission, retirement, change of object, change in contribution, etc., these will form part of your master records. Now we go to the statutory records that you are needed. Master records is the permanent record. Maybe statutory can also be permanent, but because these are required by the legal authorities or issued. So like the statutory registration, like your PAN, TAN, GST, IC, PF, PTEX, ESIC, जो भी आपके है, वो आप registration वो एक अलग side में रखिए. Then minute books. Although it is not mandated, but yes, a minute book has to be there. If you are seeing that even if your agreement is silent, then you have to maintain minutes within 30 days of the meeting. So your minute books has to be maintained. And copies of all the important resolutions relating to the LLP, projects, mortgages, whatever it is, you please keep over there. Copy of the returns, including ROC returns, that is Form 8 and Form 11 that you are filing, income tax returns, others as applicable, GST, PF, whatever returns you are filing, please keep a copy over there, and other statutory submissions that you may be doing. Now we go to the third part, that is the ancillary records that have to be maintained. All your agreements and contracts. So agreements with your vendors, agreement with your suppliers, agreement with your customers, agreement with your employees, agreement with your contractors, whatever you got, please maintain these records, because they may be required as and when, at least until the end of the contract, termination of the agreement, and also up to a limitation period subsequent to that, depending on the case to case. Then ownership records of all your properties that you are owning. So ownership records, auditors and company secretary appointments, if any. Friends, although there is no procedure defined, but you will still have to appoint, and our institute has mandated certain procedure, so we will have to follow those procedures. Although there is no procedure of appointing auditor and company secretary as is done in the Companies Act, LLP Act doesn't specify any procedure, but some procedure has to be followed. The letter issued and the consent obtained, and you don't have to file a auditor's appointment letter also to the ROC, unlike in case of a Companies Act. Then your audited financial statements you will have to record, and then audit reports from statutory auditors, your tax auditors like income tax auditors, GST auditors, excise, VAT, as and when applicable, those reports will form of your ancillary reports. and then details of your bank accounts, which accounts you are maintaining, authorized signatories, the resolution relating to authorized signatories. If you have a policies and operation manuals for your LLP of your organization, please mention and please keep them also in as part of your ancillary records. And finally, we go to the recurring reports. That is the day-to-day things that we do, your books of account, fixed asset register, excise record, labor record. So this you have to maintain till the period of limitation as maintained under various statutes, and till that time you will have to maintain and you can discard. And then lastly, we go to the meetings. Issue proper notice. As I said, you have to define the procedure in your agreement. How will you convene? How will you issue a notice? When and the meetings will be held? So issue proper notice as per your agreement. Maintain proper minutes. Maintain proper attendance records. Why I am highlighting, friends? I have got cases where disputes have arisen, and because of these issues, in certain LLPs we have been able to fight it out. In certain LLPs it has been difficult because these records have not been maintained. So we have faced, the clients have faced the issues. And lastly, the statutory obligations that you have. 2, in case of a ROC, annual return form 11 and statement of solvency form number 8 you have to file. Income tax, your returns and audit reports. GST and allied laws, returns and audits if applicable. So this is all from me about the LLP. Now I am ready for any questions, and I would like to thank once again Avinash ji and the Dhule branch for giving me an opportunity to present my views. Thank you very much.
मेंबर्स, अगर कोई क्वेश्चन होगा तो प्लीज सर से आप क्लियर कर लीजिए.
हेलो हेलो
हाँ बोला बोला
हेलो
बोला बोला.
Sir, if a partnership firm gets converted into LLP, then whether all PAN number and GST registration numbers and licenses, whether all these have to be amended, and if yes, what procedure should be followed?
You have to obtain fresh, not amended.
Okay. Everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they are two different entities. Please take care.
Okay.
One is under the partnership and one is under the LLP Act. Although for income tax and stamp duty purposes, they are treating it as one, but they are formed under two different statutes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
एनी अदर मेंबर, अगर किसी को कोई क्यूरी होगा रिलेटिंग टू एलएलपी और व्हाटएवर सर इज एक्सप्लेन, मैं सबको रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, अगर आपको क्यूरी होगा तो आप रेज हैंड थ्रू चैट या आप ऑडियो अनम्यूट करके आप क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हो सर से.
Any question, I am prepared to answer, no problem.
ओके, सो आई बिलीव सर आज का सेशन काफी अच्छा रहा. हम लोग, मैं मेरा इंडिविजुअली बताना चाहूंगा कि हम एलएलपी में प्रैक्टिस करने से इसलिए डर रहे थे आज तक क्योंकि हमको इतनी सारी चीजें पता नहीं थी. सीए बनने के बाद एलएलपी एक्ट बाद में इनेक्ट हुआ और फिर हम लोग इतना स्टडी नहीं कर पाए, बट टुडे सेशन वाज वेरी गुड. हम लोगों ने काफी सारी चीजें इसमें सीखा और बहुत सारे बेनिफिट्स भी अवेलेबल है हमारे पास एलएलपी में, सो वी कैन टेक दैट बेनिफिट. श्योरली ये सेशन हम सभी मेंबर्स के लिए एक नॉलेज बूस्टिंग सेशन था सर, जिसमें हमने एक नया एंटिटी सीखा और कन्वर्जन फ्रॉम पार्टनरशिप टू एलएलपी करके हम इनकम टैक्स के बेनिफिट भी ले सकते हैं, कॉर्पोरेट एंटिटी का बेनिफिट भी ले सकते हो. दैट वाज अ वेरी गुड थिंग सर. विद दिस आई वुड लाइक टू फर्स्ट थैंक विजय केवल रामानी सर कि उन्होंने टाइम निकाल के हम सब नंदुरबार और धुले ब्रांच के मेंबर्स के लिए एक नॉलेज सेशन में अपना नॉलेज शेयर किया. सभी मेंबर्स को भी मैं धन्यवाद कहना चाहूँगा कि वो लोगों ने पूरा टाइम सेशन अटेंडेड रहे और ध्यान से अपना नॉलेज गेन किया। और धुले ब्रांच, जिनका मैं फिर से मेंबर्स की तरफ से धन्यवाद कहना चाहूँगा कि आपने नॉलेज लॉकडाउन सीरीज जो चलाया है, दैट इज रियली हेल्पिंग अस अ लॉट। शंकर रिजवानी सर, जिन्होंने हमको केवल रामानी सर का सर केवल रामानी सर से नॉलेज ले सकते हैं। सो सभी मेंबर्स का, केवल रामानी सर का, शंकर रिजवानी सर का मैं थैंक यू कहना चाहूँगा और धुले ब्रांच का भी मैं थैंक यू कहना चाहूँगा। विद दिस, so Vijay sir, can we end up the meeting now?
Yeah, okay, I am ready.
Okay sir, okay. So with this हम लोग अभी आज का सेशन एंड अप। थैंक यू विजय सर।